Two brothers made a promise to their dying mother. Only one kept it, but it wasn't the one you would expect. This story will change how you think about success forever. Many years ago, in a small village at the edge of a great city, there lived an old widow named Maria. She had two sons. The older son was named Victor. Victor was brilliant. He had studied architecture in the finest university. He wore expensive suits. He spoke with big words. Everyone in the village said, "Victor will do great things." The younger son was named Thomas. Thomas was simple. He had never finished school. He worked with his hands. His clothes were always covered in dust. People looked at Thomas and shook their heads. They whispered, "Poor Thomas. He will never amount to anything." But Maria loved both sons equally. She never compared them. She only had one dream. One cold evening, Maria called both sons to her bedside. Her health was failing. Her small rented room was crumbling. Rain leaked through the ceiling. Wind crept through the cracks. She held their hands and said softly, "My sons, I have one wish before I leave this world. I want to die in a home that belongs to our family, not a rented room, not a landlord's property, a home built with love, built by my sons." Victor's eyes filled with tears. He kissed her hand and declared loudly, "Mother, I swear to you, I will build you a palace. You will live like a queen, I promise." Thomas said nothing. He simply nodded. He squeezed her hand gently, and he walked outside into the cold night. Victor returned to the city the next morning. He was determined. He bought the finest paper. He purchased the most expensive pencils. He cleared his entire desk. "I am an architect," he told himself. "I will design the greatest house this village has ever seen." He began to draw. Days turned into weeks. Weeks turned into months. Victor drew blueprint after blueprint, but nothing was perfect enough. "The kitchen is too small," he said, crumpling the paper. "The windows face the wrong direction," he muttered, starting again. "The foundation calculations need more research." He sighed. He visited marble suppliers. He argued with contractors about the best wood. He wrote letters to engineers in distant cities. He attended conferences on modern construction. He filled notebooks with ideas, beautiful ideas, perfect ideas, but the land next to his mother's room remained empty. Not a single brick was laid. The same night Victor returned to the city, Thomas did something different. He walked to the empty plot of land behind his mother's room. He stood there in the darkness. He had no money. He had no education. He had no blueprint. He only had two hands and one brick. He had found it lying in a ditch on his way home. Thomas placed that single brick on the ground. It looked foolish. It looked meaningless. One brick in a sea of dirt. But Thomas whispered to himself, "This is the first step." The next morning, he found another brick. He placed it next to the first one. Day after day, Thomas searched. He collected discarded bricks from construction sites. He gathered stones from the riverbed. He mixed cement with his bare hands. His fingers bled. His back ached. But every single day, without fail, he laid one more brick. Months passed. Victor came to visit during the holidays. He saw Thomas covered in mud, placing a crooked brick on a small, ugly wall. Victor laughed out loud. "Brother, what is this disaster? This looks like a pile of garbage, not a house." Thomas wiped the sweat from his forehead. "It is not finished yet," he said quietly. Victor shook his head with pity. "You have no vision, Thomas. You have no plan. Look at this mess. The walls are uneven. The stones don't match." He pulled out his rolled blueprints proudly. "This is what Mother deserves. A palace with marble floors, crystal windows, a garden with fountains. I just need a few more months to finalize the permits." Thomas looked at the beautiful drawings. Then he looked at his ugly, uneven wall. He said nothing. He picked up another brick, and he kept building. 2 years passed. One winter morning, a message arrived for Victor in the city. His hands trembled as he read it. "Mother has collapsed. Come immediately." Victor grabbed his blueprints and rushed to the village. His heart was pounding. His perfect plans were finally ready. The permits were almost approved. The marble supplier had finally agreed to his price. Everything was falling into place. He just needed a little more time, just a few more weeks. When Victor arrived at the village, he ran to his mother's rented room, but she was not there. The room was empty. He ran outside, panicking. Then he stopped. He saw something that broke him completely. Behind the old rented room stood a small structure. It was not a palace. It was not beautiful. The walls were uneven. The roof was patched with different materials. The door didn't close properly, but it was complete. And inside that small, imperfect room, Maria lay on a simple bed. warm, safe, smiling. Thomas sat beside her, holding her hand. A small fire burned in the corner. The rain outside could not touch her. The wind could not reach her. Victor stood at the doorway, frozen. His perfect blueprints fell from his hands. They scattered in the mud. Maria looked up at both her sons. Her voice was weak, but peaceful. "My sons, I am so proud. Thomas, you gave me a home." She looked at Victor with love, not anger. "And Victor, you gave me a dream. But my son, dreams cannot keep an old woman warm." That night, Maria closed her eyes for the final time. She died in a home that belonged to her family. A home built with imperfect bricks. A home built with action. A home built with love. Victor never recovered from that night. He burned his blueprints. He returned to the village. He asked Thomas to teach him, not architecture, not planning, but action. Together, they completed the house properly. It was never a palace, but it became a home for 3 generations. And above the door, they carved these words, built with 1 brick at a time. The world is full of victors, people with perfect plans, people waiting for the right moment, people waiting for the right resources, people waiting for permission. But success does not come to those who plan perfectly. Success comes to those who start imperfectly. 1 step beats 1,000 plans. 1 brick beats 100 blueprints. You do not need to see the whole staircase. You just need to take the first step. So stop planning, stop waiting, stop perfecting. Pick up your brick and start building, today, right now. Because the castle in your mind will never keep anyone warm. But the small hut you build with your hands, that is where life happens. That is where love lives. That is where success begins. 1 brick at a time.